Actors, we've all got issues, so let's talk about them. I'm your host, Juan Ayala, and this is Actors with Issues. Hello, ladies, gents, and non-binary friends. Welcome to another edition of Actors with Issues, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of entertainment with guests from TV, film, and Broadway. From sharing their careers' journeys to discussing the obstacles that they have faced and overcome, we discuss it all. I'm your host, Juan Ayala, and today I'm joined by two multi-hyphenate actors, writers, and directors whose featured directorial debut, Extremely Unique Dynamic, is sweeping the film festival circuit, having already won the Alternative Spirit Award at the Rhode Island International Film Festival and Best Feature at the Catalina Film Festival. Step Brothers? Anybody? No? Harrison Zhu has appeared in American Horror Stories, Shameless, Grey's Anatomy, and starred in the indie feature The Last Summer of Nathan Lee, and his co-writer and co-star and co-everything. Ivan Leung has appeared in The Goldbergs, The Sex Lives of College Girls, The Tender Bar, Grey's Anatomy as well. Ivan Leung and Harrison Zhu, welcome. Ivan, welcome to the show. Harrison, welcome back.
Hello, thanks for having me again.
Thank you. I am feeling welcome.
So, for the fans of the show, you may remember that Harrison was our guest on our 60th episode. We're at around episode 220 these days, if you can believe it, which is insane.
It's been that many episodes?
It's been like 3 years, I think, since we first had you on.
Wild.
Yeah. And so since we know a bit about Harrison already, Ivan, let's start with you. So take us back to the early years. Where were you born? Where'd you grow up? What was early life like?
Well, I was born in San Diego, California as a young Asian boy trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do. I took some dance classes because I just wanted to express myself in some way. And that led me to Culture Shock Dance Center. And because of that, that led me back to, well, it didn't lead me back. It led me to Los Angeles, to Debbie Reynolds. And someone was like, hey, you should try acting. And for some reason, like, someone just saying that passing comment just gave me permission to actually go for it, and here I am today.
What would you say was like sort of first sparked your interest in acting, or did that sort of come a little bit later for you? Did something else maybe catch your eye in terms of like a career path, or was acting always sort of on the horizon for you?
No, it wasn't even on my horizon at all. Like I think, well, actually, maybe that was a lie. I think I've always wanted to do something in the arts, but like I just never thought that was possible. And just having someone say, hey, you should try this, gave me the permission, and I just needed someone to say it, and that happened.
So Harrison, for you, I mean, I know that you've worked as a marketer for a long time, but besides either of your like current day jobs, was there anything else you envisioned doing besides acting, or did you always also sort of see it on the horizon for yourself?
So my whole family is in business, and I started acting when I was 15, and when I went to college, I actually went to become an agent because I thought it was the best way to combine my passion for acting and my family's interest in business. And I quickly realized that I wasn't meant to be an agent. So I've always had an interest in film marketing. So that's why I went down that path for a little bit, took a break from acting, but it just never felt fully right that I was only doing that. Yeah. So for the past 6 years, I've been lucky enough to do both. And I actually really do love my job because even in film marketing, it's very creative, working with filmmakers, and it's still very much in the creative space.
And you guys were able to sort of take those experiences and bring it into Extremely Unique Dynamic with the marketing of that. And I mean, you guys had your trailer kind of like blew up in the first couple of days that it went up.
Yeah.
What was that like?
So actually the inspiration for the movie was, Ivan and I have known each other for 10 years, primarily as actors. And I was working on marketing this movie called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, which is, cult horror movie. Yeah. And Ivan, I brought on to help with it because Ivan's hilarious. And we kind of crafted this really crazy social campaign, and it was our first time working together. And we were like, we were both workaholics. We work really well together. And we're not just, this was our first time actually doing something professionally. So that led to us thinking that we can make our own movie. And a lot of the experiences that we had together inspired the film itself and the meta-ness of it. So like in the movie, I play a film marketer and an actor. Ivan plays an actor and a rapper. And it's about our final weekend together before my character moves to Canada, which happened in real life too. So all of it was a lot based on our own experiences.
And Ivan, what would you say has been the biggest sort of takeaway in this whole filmmaking experience, whether it's from writing, making the movie, and now after that you're sort of seeing it screened all over the place?
It just feels really fun and inspiring that we could just take control of our own careers. You know, as actors, we're we're waiting for our opportunities a lot. We're waiting to get an audition. We're waiting to get booked. We're waiting on set. When you're a filmmaker, you get to be all encompassing. You're never bored. You're always being creative. You're always doing something, and it just it's just really fulfilling because of that.
And Harrison, what would you say is your takeaway from the project?
It's like similar to what Ivan was saying, you know, as an actor, um, you often forget sometimes that you're always an artist, even if you're not booking, because we're constantly auditioning, looking for jobs, and the rest of the world is telling you no. And as a filmmaker, you know, we really took that into our own hands and made something for ourselves, and we wanted to create roles that we can act in, because you know we've known each other for 10 years, but we've always like either auditioned for the same roles or different roles, but in the projects there would only be like one Asian male actor in it unless it was an Asian story.
Yeah.
So we never really had opportunities to audition for projects together. So this was really our first chance to actually act in something together. And I don't know when we'll be able to do that again. Well, actually, I do. We're acting in a horror movie in a week
Are you really?
together.
Yeah.
But it was, you know, our friends made it and they wrote it for us after seeing us in this movie. But it's cool to see that, you know, what we had done for ourselves as actors to create roles for ourselves has led to more opportunities for us to be in things together.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
And, you know, as you were sort of saying, you know, like creating opportunities for yourself. So many actors are encouraged early on to be a multi-hyphenate, to not just be an actor, but you have to start writing and maybe produce your own work and maybe learn an instrument and maybe sing a little bit. Like, what advice do you have for anyone who's like looking to dabble for the first time into filmmaking?
I think just do it. If you have an interest, don't just think about it. Just take the first step and try it, and you'll figure out if you actually enjoy it or not. And I think that's probably the best advice. Just listen to Shia LaBeouf.
Or Nike.
Or not.
Or
Nike.
Nike. Yeah, Nike. Yes, Nike.
I think for us as actors, like the idea of making a film is very daunting, right? It's like, especially a feature, because you're like, it requires a lot of money, it requires a lot of coordination, and if you've never directed or written anything before, it's just like an unsurmountable feat. And I think in this process, we really had to, you know, dig deep and be like, well, when we were kids, we would always just make videos. Like, it didn't matter if they were good or not. Like, you just pick up your camera and just shoot something. And like, I've made so many terrible YouTube shorts that are up there in the ether that no one will probably ever see. But I think just like rediscovering that passion for creating, and like as actors, that's what we crave too, right? It's like finding, you know, within auditions or roles that we play, that sense of play that when we're thinking about making films, it just seems like so much that, you know, that in itself stops you from making anything. And I think it's just the idea of like, no, like I can make something. It doesn't have to be a $10 million movie. Like, it can be a no budget thing that I shoot just because, you know, it's what inspires me.
And with making the movie, I'm curious, was there a part that you were expecting to be like the most daunting thing? You're like, oh, that part actually wasn't that hard. And then vice versa, something you expected to be easy that was like maybe a surprise challenge for you.
I think the writing part surprised me as coming quicker than I thought. Because for context, like our movie has a lot of improvisation in it. We wrote a really strong scriptment that was 25 pages that had where each scene started, where it ended, and certain things that we could talk about in between. So with the way that we wrote it, the script came together in a week. It was super fast. And that was just, you know, due to us like being inspired and like writing what we knew. So that part of it, I think came a little easier than I had expected, because it wasn't necessarily perfect, but because there was a lot of improvisation in it, and because we've known each other for so long and we've acted for so long, when we were on set, like everything just came super naturally.
Yeah, we had like a natural banter, and like a natural way of like interacting with each other. It was an easier process being on set than what I initially thought. So that was really nice.
I
And
think the harder
yeah,
thing, a thing that I thought would be easier that ended up being really hard was the producing part of it.
yeah,
Mm,
It's just a lot of work after the film's done, like
yeah.
even in post. I would say like 90% of the work came after we finished shooting the movie, and it still continues to be a lot of work, but it's been really rewarding at least because it's our own project, and um, it's nice to see your work lead to something that you can actually see.
yeah,
Yeah.
post production, thinking about licensing music, realizing that licensing music is really expensive, making our own music. That was a difficult part.
Yeah. We're going to move on to a section called For the Actors. So these are sort of the most commonly asked questions by actors, but they almost never get like a straight answer because there is no straight answer to a lot of these.
Hmm.
But so between the pandemic several years ago and the strike just last year, there was a lot of waiting around for things to happen more so than already when you're getting lots of auditions and whatnot. And we couldn't really be proactive during that time. So what did you guys take away from that time period? Like, how did you keep yourselves like creatively sort of expressive and motivate yourselves?
We tried to do a TikTok. We tried to start a TikTok page, and
Uh,
that particularly didn't work out that well. But that that inspired doing the film marketing job with Harrison was really fun because I got to play with my improv skills in the
Mm,
comments, mess with people, troll with people. I played with my comedic writing.
mm,
yeah, and just overall, like the film itself, like this film, we started the process last February, like a year and a half
mm,
later, and it still lives with us. Um, so I feel like just having this film throughout the process, timing wise, worked out really great because, our last day of shooting was the day before the WGA strike.
yeah,
So during the first like few months between the WGA strike and the SAG strike where there was literally nothing going on, we were editing this movie.
yeah. Wow.
So it kind of just all worked out in a weird way. But yeah, this movie's definitely kept us really creatively fulfilled throughout the
Mm.
entire last year and a half.
And are there any skills that you feel aren't talked about enough that you find have helped you a lot, whether it's as an actor or just sort of like day-to-day life? Like I feel like improv kind of like keeps you on your toes and whatnot, and improvising in the everyday life is a good is a good skill to
Hmm.
have. But yeah, anything like that come to mind as like something that you have found extremely helpful that not enough people are like talking about, or maybe something that you didn't learn in your training that you're like, why didn't they teach us this? Whether it's like finance or the business of
Yeah.
acting, things like
Yeah, I was
that.
gonna say like the business of acting and really utilizing press in the best way.
Hmm.
Because I feel like, as an actor, the craft is obviously the most important, but it is really important to also understand how to utilize press in the best way to further your career.
Yeah.
Because throughout this film, it's been nice too because the film is basically a calling card for us. So every time we go to a festival, we've been lucky enough to get a lot of press and reviews and meet a lot of other filmmakers. And um, yeah, I think like that also just goes back to the idea of like creating your own stuff for you to act in. Because if you're not, you know, if you're not able to act in things or you haven't booked things that best showcases your abilities, and if you're able to create that for yourselves and use that as a calling card and utilize press to really get your name out there, I think that's something that they don't really teach you in acting school that
Yeah.
you kind of have to figure out on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think that another thing that I really learned in this movie is asking for what you want and asking for what you need because as actors, you usually try to as also like just a guest on a show, you come into the show and you don't want to step on any toes. You want to make sure that you're respectful. But because we were also the directors, I had to learn to speak up a lot more um and saying like, okay, well, we need this shot or we need that shot, and that's been something that has been really really helpful in my life.
Yeah. I feel like that's not really talked about enough is that like you have a voice in the room, whether you're the day player or the lead. And even when someone's the lead, they also feel like, oh, now they're gonna think I'm difficult or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
and that's such a it's really unfortunate to hear that that's still sort of like a mindset because I feel like back in the day before like the Me Too movement and things like that, people were afraid to speak up out of retaliation. But now that so much has been sort of exposed, it's like, why are we still afraid of speaking
Hmm.
up? Um,
I think you're just conditioned as an actor for the
yeah,
longest time. Like you're auditioning for someone else's project, you're throwing your tape out into the ether, you may or may not hear back, and it often feels like, yeah, like you don't have a voice in the room because you're like the lowest end of the totem pole.
yeah,
And like Ivan said, like just in making this project, it was nice to regain that authority or at
mhm,
least try to. And it took a little bit because like the first day on set, like I think we were still thinking in that actor mindset, even though we were also the writers and directors. And it took a little bit to be like, oh, like we can do things a certain way. Like this is our vision.
yeah.
So yeah, that was a really good point.
It's just really inspiring to me. I think about this all the time, but like, uh, because we did this project, I'm not just an actor anymore. And now when I step on set on other people's set, I feel like a peer to everyone.
Mhm,
And that gives me a lot of power, I think.
mhm. Did you guys find it particularly difficult to sort of switch from maybe not getting too much into your own head about your own script or maybe like what the direction looked like while you're sort of supposed to be like in actor mode? Because usually when
Mm.
you're just acting, you have one thing to worry about. But as someone who's in charge of so many aspects of it, did you find yourself getting into your own head a little bit, or did you really just sort of like give it up? Like, no, we have a great team. Let's leave it in their hands.
During pre-production, we did a very thorough process in finding the right people to bring on that we can really trust, and help highlight the film and make the film successful. So, uh, I think that that was a lot easier process. And you know that saying, ignorance is bliss?
Mhm.
When I started acting, I didn't think about anything at all. So I'm just really glad that I'm next to Harrison, who has such a expansive mind that can also act but also AD at the same time. His mind is just so brilliant and big and smart that like I guess I once the camera started rolling, my mind just went blank.
And it
So
kind of worked with our characters too, and
Uh,
you'll see it in the movie. But like, my character is like the over analytical marketer, and Ivan's is like the one that just wants to have fun. And I think like in a way, it was almost like inadvertently method.
a lot of like life imitating art, imitating life
Yes,
in just a
100%.
circle.
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm a lot smarter in real life though, just letting you know. But like yes.
Elevated versions of yourself, whether
Yes.
it's yeah. And of your obviously with this one excluded, so the sort of present project excluded, of your past credits, which one would you say was the biggest learning experience for you?
For me, it was Last Summer of Nathan Lee, just because it was the first time I was ever number one
Mhm.
on a call sheet.
Yeah.
And Nathan Lee actually was a big inspiration as well for this movie because I was able to see what Quentin Lee, the director, did with such a low budget, with limited resources, and really um, just like have a really great story and bring a whole team together to make something so special. Um, and yeah, like in that process too, kind of similar to our movie, just like having to remind myself that like, oh, like I do have a voice, and even more so in this one because the last one, I didn't write or direct it, I was just acting in it. So every time it's just been like a really nice like learning opportunity, just stepping into a new project and taking what I've learned from previous ones.
I think the one that was most influential to me was The Tender Bar, and that was directed by George Clooney. It was
Name
really
drop.
oh huh
Is it name drop?
yes, name drop. But like the cool thing about that set was it was my first big movie role, and I was just asked so many questions that I wasn't asked before from previous acting jobs. Like, what do you think of would your character wear this? Which watch would your character
Mm.
do this, and I'm like, usually when you're on set, you just get what you get. So like, uh, having a much more hands-on opinion on it was like, oh, like a big like mind-opening thing that I just never thought of before. And seeing Ty Sheridan lead a movie set where he was so respectful and he knew everyone's names on set, like it really inspired me to be a better person and a better actor, and show me like, oh, this is how you're supposed to act on set in like a grander scheme.
Yeah. I feel like that's such a good example to set. Probably it was probably on George's part being an actor for so long and then, getting into directing the last several years of like, no, let's give the actors a little bit more of a say in what they want. Like, and like, you're so right in sort of like they don't really ask your opinion in your wardrobe or anything. It's like, here's what you're wearing. That's it, period. Like it's not, you don't really get a say in it. Did you guys sort of take that and wanted to have that same sort of collaboration with the actors in the movie?
Yeah, like I try to go on into every set to know everyone's names now,
Hmm.
because before I was so in my head, I wanted to just do a good job that like I would just concentrate on me, be quiet, and just do my job and then go home. But now like I make a really really intentional effort to know everyone's names, see how their day is, and just learn about everyone on set.
It was the question about asking other actors on our project about those
Oh.
things?
Just sort of taking that
Or
experience and like taking it
yeah.
onto other sets, but also for your own movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in our project, it's mostly just us two. Like we're the two main actors in it. We have two other actors that played the young versions of ourselves, and that was a really fun learning experience working with kids for
Mhm.
the first time because I feel like kids have such a natural sense of wonder and play,
Yeah.
and it's like I know some people think like directing kids is tough, and it can be, but I just feel like like we just let them kind of run wild and do their thing, and like the more they got comfortable with each other, just the more natural it was. One kid kept asking for money though, or when he was getting paid.
Did he really? What do you mean?
Oh yeah, he was just a hustler. Lucas Liu.
Yeah.
It's Lucas Liu and Jason Sun. They played the young versions of us. They were outstanding and wonderful, but they were really really funny and just like, oh, Lucas was just always like, oh, how much you gonna pay me for this? How much you gonna pay me for this?
He just wants to make sure the check clears. He's like, all right, let's go.
Yep.
As we come to the end of our time, we're gonna go into our last round of questions. It's time for life's big questions. It's not rapid fire. Every time I say that, people get nervous and they forget how to answer questions quickly. So, Harrison, we'll start with you. If you could
Okay.
have any superpower, which would you choose?
What did I say last time on your podcast?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Okay, let's hopefully it's a different one. I would love to be able to read people's minds.
Mm.
I think that would be a fun one, but it also could be a dangerous one.
Probably, as long as you can turn it off.
Yeah,
As long as
we
it's not like a curse.
just the positive thoughts.
Yeah. Ivan, preference to act in, stage or screen?
Screen. I just love working on screen. I love doing multiple takes. I love just being on set. But I also want to say that I want to hit the power of healing. I don't care.
The power of healing. It's a good one. Harrison, are you more an avid moviegoer or TV watcher?
Oh, movies for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I grew up on movies. Like my dad would take me to the movies all the time. And I work in film marketing. So yeah,
Right.
movies.
Ivan, if you get the chance to appear on a late night talk show, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Seth Meyers, or Graham Norton?
I think I want Jimmy Fallon because he laughs a lot, and I just love just being around people that laugh a lot.
Yeah. Harrison, what movie or TV show reminds you most of your childhood?
Happy Gilmore, just because I watched it all the time growing up. So whenever I see it, it just is very nostalgic for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, another Adam Sandler movie for me is either Click or Big Daddy. Those two movies always like just remind me of
Yes.
like that era specifically.
Yeah, and Click was one of the first movies that I just remember like bawling my eyes
Oh, yeah.
out at.
I
And
feel like that's most Adam Sandler movies. By the end of it, you're like, why am I crying?
yeah, it was one of those that it was also like kind of an inspiration for our film too, of just like leading with comedy, but then like kind of just sneaking up on people
Yeah.
with like just like, wait, why? Yeah, like why am I crying right now?
And Ivan, same question. What movie or TV show reminds you most of childhood?
American and Ashley's Passport to Paris.
I don't know if I remember that one. They did so many movies growing up. It's like,
I just really like that movie because I just love movies that have like some kind of food aspect to it. And there was just one scene where like American and Ashley, they gave this like this snooty French chef McDonald's French fries for the first time, and then the French chef was like, "Oh, I don't want to eat that," and then like American and Ashley was like, "Just try it," and then the French chef ate it, and then he was like, "Oh, wow, wow, wow."
I feel like I vaguely remember that. They like hated snails or something, right? They like
Yeah.
tried eating escargot and they were like, what?
Yeah.
Harrison, what's the last movie you saw in theaters?
Nice.
It was well, yeah. Thanks for yes, the memory jog. We watched A Nice Indian Boy for
Oh,
the
yeah.
New Fest opening.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic.
Uh.
I love a good rom-com.
Yeah. And Ivan, what real life historical figure would you want to portray in a biopic?
George Washington, because I can't think of any historical figures right now.
Any actors that you like loved that you might want to like play in something if they did like a biopic of them?
Like maybe Michael Cera. Like, wow, I can't really think of anyone right now. Who would I want to portray? I don't know. I can't think of anyone. Josh Hutcherson.
It's like
Am I just-
35.
Maroon 5?
The whole band.
whole
All
band.
of Maroon 5. Just the one man show. Harrison, what's your favorite movie quote?
Oh man. I gotta dig deep for this one. You can do it. Rob Schneider in any Adam Sandler movie.
He's sneaking in any movie.
Yes.
Ivan, what show are you dying to be a guest star on?
I am dying to be. Oh, well, I would have loved to be on Pen 15. I thought that would be such a fun show to be on.
Harrison, go-to karaoke song.
I'll Make a Man Out of You from Mulan if they have it, because oftentimes they don't, and then if they don't, then it's 1,000 Miles.
Good choice. Ivan, favorite performance you've seen live?
I would say Nicole Scherzinger in Sunset Boulevard. Her vocal prowess. How do you say that word? Prowess
There
was
you
just so freaking good.
Yeah. And for each of you, so we'll start with Harrison. You're hosting a dinner party and can invite any 3 actors to join you. Who are you inviting?
Ooh. Can I defer to Ivan first?
Ivan, if you're ready.
Juliana Margulies. Who else? Maya Erskine and Justin Long.
It's such a random trio of people.
I'm just getting it all out of my head.
Yeah.
Dax Shepard. I don't know.
Harrison.
Oh man, why is this so hard? I'm gonna pull an Ivan and just come up with the 3 actors that come to mind. Woody Harrelson. Bryan Cranston.
Good actors.
And Judy Foster.
Who's Judy Foster?
Jodie Foster. Oh my god,
Yeah. Jody.
I don't know why I said Judy.
Judy
I'm
Dench would
blanking.
be cool. Judy Dench.
Oh, she's so funny. I feel like whenever she's on the Graham Norton show, she's like hilarious. I'd totally want to
Oh yeah.
have some wine with Judi Dench. Like,
Oh yeah. You know who else is Jennifer Lawrence?
oh, she'd
Oh,
be
she's
alright.
naming names.
And last question, Harrison. In 10 words or less, what advice would you give to a young actor?
Make your own content and have fun doing it.
And Ivan, 10 words or less.
Just do it.
Just do it. I think that's 10 altogether. I think that was like 7 and 3. Awesome. Well, gentlemen, thank you again. Best of luck tonight at Nudefest, and thanks for joining us for our first like in studio podcast recording. Yesterday's felt like a talk show because it was kind of we were like laved up more in like this little set, but this was like the first like in person studio one. So yeah, thank you guys for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
We're glad
thank
to
you.
make history on Actors with Issues.
Thank you, Juan Ayala.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to subscribe to Actors with Issues on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and visit our YouTube channel for full video interviews. Actors with Issues is executive produced and hosted by Juan Ayala. See you next time.